This episode of Super GG Radio is brought to you by our Patreon. Patrons of the show can get our Dogs of Super GG Radio newsletter, Super GG Radio stickers, a slap on your closest PC or bag, input on what we cover, game nights with the hosts, and even a chance to win a copy of an indie we talked about. Not only that, but 90% of all patron contributions go to the Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals. Visit patreon.com/superggradio to learn more. What's good, Internet, and welcome to session 271 of Super GG Radio, part of NPR of Illinois, where friends chat about video games and all things adjacent. I am your host. I had a real bad. That was a talk about my hand and how I hurt my hand, but then I decided not to use the FLA word, so we're gonna continue. I am your host with the mostest, Beetlejuice, Alex Arona. It is a Getty-free week. It seems like we're getting less Getty all the time. Does that feel like that way to you guys?
I think he's just trying to slowly find his way out. He's looking. He's looking for a soft exit. They
call that slow ghosting.
Quiet
quitting. Quiet
quitting.
Slow ghosting. What is it, like an Italian goodbye?
No, there's a Midwestern goodbye where you hang out in the foyer for like half an hour saying goodbye.
There's one where I can't remember what it's called. Maybe it's the Irish goodbye. It's just where you leave.
Oh.
You don't say goodbye to anybody. You just fade out. Oh, I used to fade out from parties. You ever do the fade out? That's when the cops come and then you just slowly back away and then no one notices that you just left.
I was never at a cool enough party where the cops got called on them. Sorry.
You weren't at that one, the Halloween party, where Richard walked in the door and just dumped an entire 40 on the rug?
Oh, and then they threw the party foul from the ref. That's right. He threw the yellow card or whatever.
Yeah, that was the cops, man.
Oh, I guess I was just unaware.
With me, the most unaware one, Joel DeWitte. Hey, Joel, what's going on?
I am the most unaware one. Why am I here? I don't know.
The most unaware one.
I don't know anymore. Like I am here.
In the horror movie of life, somebody has to die first.
That's probably Joel. Or me. I'm the brown one.
I wasn't going to go there.
I think they'll at least let you survive a couple people. I think more recent movies like to at least tease the idea that the person of color will survive a movie.
Depend. Jordan Peele's directing that I'm in.
Okay.
That's how it works. And the bearded beauty himself, Alec Parks. Hey, Alec, what's going on?
You know, I was actually thinking about shaving it down, but I think I'm going to let it get bigger. Just go wild.
I was going to say you could tend to, take a machete to that brush you got going on.
Oh, absolutely.
Because otherwise you're going to look like COVID Alec, and COVID Alec looked like the Unabomber. I have photos. Hold on, I have a photo. It's within.
Sitting there with hoodie and aviators, and
no, yeah. I did not have any aviators, but it was pretty wild.
You know what? That was 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was.
It feels like much longer.
See, it feels like less time to me. I feel like it wasn't that long ago. Or my mind wants to think it wasn't that long ago. I think that's just a sign of getting old at this point.
It feels like decades away.
It was both longer ago and just yesterday.
I think we're kind of in that point. We're in that middle ground where it's like, I don't even know how long it's been since we graduated high school. I kind of do.
It's been 20 years. We should have had our 20-year reunion this summer.
That ain't going to happen. And you wouldn't have gone anyways.
I was thinking about it.
Yeah, you wouldn't have gone.
Probably not.
You can go to the 10-year.
No, I didn't.
Here's the real question. Is there somebody that would show up at the reunion that you would want to see that you don't see now?
No, I see everybody that I want to see.
Yeah.
That's why I got Getty. I just harass him all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think there is.
Like,
there you go.
Like, no offense to the...
Alec, that beard's out of hand.
Yeah.
I feel like you're not far from that. right now.
I know, and that's why I'm saying is that he should probably button it up.
For who? he needs to button up his ceiling first.
I was also say the
That's
females, but the dating scene. I don't know if this picture would not be a great for your dating profile.
Oh, I think it'd be great. Pull that back up. 'Cause it's just a Polaroid, right?
Yes.
Take a photo of the Polaroid with your phone, and then use that as your profile photo.
I got weirdly into like Polaroids during COVID. It was a very brief love affair. They're expensive.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, Polaroids are wild. Man, this is a gaming podcast.
Is it?
This is a gaming
It doesn't have to be. I mean,
it could.
We're here.
It could be a comedy.
We
could
no,
be comedy.
No, it can't be comedy because we're not funny.
I funny. I make funny. I do the funny.
You like to think you're funny.
I do think I'm funny. That's fair.
Yeah.
But looks don't count for everything, and this is an audio format podcast.
Now that's where we move on to our first segment, Early Adopters, where we play alphas, betas, and games where I just kind of spin in circles. I kind of spin in circles in both these games, and that's okay.
Wait, you could move in Shroom and Gloom other than forward?
Kind of.
I thought you could. Kind of.
Kind of.
First game we played, Project Structure 01. All underscores in there. Project_Structure_01. This is, would you say this was liminal spaces? Right? Isn't that what the word is? What is the definition of liminal spaces? Now I have to Google.
Oh no, not the Google.
What is a transitional state or place or location that feels unsettling or dreamlike? Yeah, okay. Liminal spaces.
Yeah. There's a whole subgenre of video out there where it's like liminal spaces of things that feel oddly familiar, but you haven't actually been here.
Ooh, that's something I can Google.
Yeah.
Okay. I now have a new YouTube rabbit hole to dig into. Project Structure 01 is a game where you are first person exploring these, I would say, geometric shapes. You know, you ever look like at like tessellations where it looks like a bunch of shapes put together that fit together to make a bigger picture. Yep. But the liminal spaces come into play where you can't tell what is, like the spaces are either white, gray, or black, and the black usually is like a pathway, like doorway through. So you'll see a big shape, like a triangle, and you can't tell, is that a doorway or is that a wall? And if you look to the right, there's kind of a hallway. You're really just kind of exploring blind into these geometric shapes that feels, it feels super confusing how it works. And that's the fun of it, is experiencing the kind of vertigo of walking up to a wall and just kind of like blindly, is this a wall? Is this it's a doorway? Cool. It leads to a whole nother room in what looked like, it was like a small triangle, but as you got closer, it got bigger, and then all of a sudden it's a giant mansion, and it made of different shapes as well. So it really does kind of play with that perspective. What did you think of these, Alec?
Yeah, it was a little off-putting for me to not know where I was going, to really be kind of lost and truly exploring the whole nature of the shadows. There was a lot of time spent running into walls and finding ducks, which we all need a good rubber duck every now and then.
There were quite a few of them. Yeah, and so that was the one thing, is there were little duck structures hidden around, and there was also collectible ducks. But overall, it was very interesting to kind of explore it. I definitely felt like a sense of curiosity, but also at the same time, I would look at a structure and I would notice that there are shadows on the right-hand side and the left-hand side, and I would go down the right-hand side and it would open up to like a whole nother gateway of like giant room. But I would also be like, do I go back to the left, or is it mirrored the same? It just felt like it was so open-ended that I didn't know if I was making forward progress, if I was getting lost in a whole other side section. It was just very open-ended.
Yeah, I would have liked a map.
A map, or just something that just gives me a hint that I'm going in a correct direction. But maybe that's kind of the point, is that you're just supposed to get lost in it, and that would make sense to me.
Yeah, they describe it as an exploration game in the actual description, and yes, they use the phrase liminal spaces. So I guess at the very least we're in the same tempo with it. So with the caveat that I got like 15 minutes to dip into this. First person exploration game, I tend to like more linear experiences for my first person games. Just because if it's too open space and it doesn't seem like there's much interactivity with things, that it kind of feels just blank. I want to be able to find like little rewards and interesting things throughout the game if I'm going to be exploring that space. And the rubber duckies is part of like what they added to this demo to be something to find while you're searching around. But I think the Steam page actually with the trailer probably does a better job of showing the intent and what kind of game they're aspiring to be than the little snippet I got through it. Just if you look at the trailer there, they've, even in the black and white tones, there's some more intricate geometry and just architecture of the buildings and such. I think there's an interesting idea here. It's just a question of where they go with it. If it continues to be a lot of just big empty spaces where you're spending 20 to 30 seconds just walking across a room or something, then it's not going to be my speed. If there's more curiosity and secrets and some clearly defined puzzles and such, then I think there might be something there.
Yeah, I definitely felt a lack of direction and things that were kind of pulling me forward. I like the way it moved for sure, and I like the way that the geometry worked together to make this kind of sense of unreality. I would almost say, like, I would almost call it unreality, where that shape and that movement, the way I'm walking towards it, then using it as a doorway into what shouldn't make sense, the size of it on the other side, that kind of idea. The Doctor Who TARDIS, right? It's bigger on the inside. I like that feeling of wonder going into something, being like, wow, this does not make sense at all. Mm-hmm. But I definitely need something pulling me forward a little bit. There are games like this, Subliminal.
Yep.
Yes.
There's a horror game coming out soon called Swimming Pools. I think it's Pools. There's a couple of good ideas and good games like this already, and those kind of have a little bit more of a narrative that kind of drags you forward a little bit. And
did you say subliminal or superliminal?
Oh, superliminal.
Okay,
I meant superliminal. Right. But those had narratives that kind of dragged me forward. They put information about what this world is, what was kind of happening, or at least something entertaining as a back and forth. There was some humor in a lot of them, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty fun. I want to keep going and exploring until I find the next one.
And in the case of superliminal, it was linear, right? And it let them kind of breadcrumb new ideas, do the whole like math lesson of teaching you the basics and then layering on extra challenge on top of it, kind of stuff. That was all very intentionally designed around that concept too.
And I don't think that this is not. I do feel like, again, I was making progress. I found myself, I definitely got stuck, but I definitely always found a good, this is the next hallway, this is the next path, it just makes sense.
Okay.
Right? There wasn't a dead end process, and that's good. So it is probably more of a linear fashion, but I just think that I needed a little bit of, like you said, breadcrumbs. All right, so that was Project Structure 01. Next, we played Shroom and Gloom. Joel, did you got a chance to play this one?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
You want to tell me about it?
Sure. So Shroom and Gloom is a first-person roguelike deck builder.
Yep.
I think this is the description that they give us. You are fighting mushroom people, monster things. You, like any good roguelike, you are going through different doors after each room, and it sort of sections off into different types of challenges. I didn't really get a clear sense of what was what in this case, but more or less what happens is that you walk into a room, you encounter a deck battle with it, and then after you complete the battle, you can sort of explore a little bit. You've got cards in your hand that are actions in between your actual combat, like you can bash your head against stuff to open it, like doors and chests, at the cost of health. You can pick up keys that'll let you do so without or have different modifiers. And then you've got stuff like shovels and stuff. You can, dig up stuff for different attack cards. Yeah.
Gear.
And so you pick up that initial deck of cards at the start from somebody's corpse, and you get to these battle sequences where it'll be somewhere between like 3 to 5 different fungal monster things out there. You'll get your hand of cards, and usually it'll be a mix of things like a knife that'll do X amount of damage. There are a few ones like it'll do X damage, and if you kill it, you get a healing card. I forget the name of it, what it was. But
Toasted.
Usually it's because usually
Toasted.
because you burnt the enemy alive and you were eating.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah. I probably could have connected the dots if I bothered to look at that. But like any good deck builder, there's ways you can sort of lean the way it goes and how you combo stuff up. So after you defeat different bosses or different battles, they'll give you cards to choose from. The different chests you run across will let you choose cards. The aforementioned shovels in between battles will dig up different cards and items too, and some of them will be even like passive stuff where in that hand you will have a passive card that says something like all other cards get +2 attack or something like that. And so it does the whole Hearthstone. Is Hearthstone the right comparison with like the energy cost and having to?
Yes, but you don't get it. It does usually with Hearthstone. It increases per turn.
Okay.
And here it doesn't increase. It's just the level of energy you have.
Oh, okay.
Though I'm sure that there will be gear or items or cards that will increase your energy.
Right. Yeah. Because all of them that I saw spent either 0 up to 2. I think was the heaviest one. There's this cool card that's like a mace, and if you hit an enemy with it and it kills the enemy, it doesn't cost you any energy. And so I got to a point where I could keep leveling that up, and it'd be like, do 8 damage, do 10 damage, and then if it kills the enemy, you just get your energy back, and you can just sort of spam that until you're down to the last 1 or 2. Because I don't know about you guys, but the distance I got in the game, you get lots of little like 8 and 10 monsters for their health, and then there'd be some where it's like 100 in the middle of it. So it turns into one of those boss battle kind of things where you kill the add-ons, you start chipping away at the main bad, and then they respawn a bunch of little ones again for you to have to pick away at. So
see, I never encountered the mace. I had a bunch of like things that would set everybody on fire. So I would set out like an explosion that would hit everybody across the board, and that's kind of how I would dwindle down the boss. Mm-hmm. But also, I would do the explosion, and then I would do the thing that would give me food.
Yeah.
So I'd do an attack that would kill them, but then give me food, and I would eat. And I had a dagger that it would the damage would increase if I
every time you eat.
Had 8.
Yeah. I had one of those too. That's a good one.
So you definitely were playing off of these different cards, and you're just kind of exploring the dungeon. You get these, you get to points where you get 2 doors, and it's like pick a door. Some will have gear or some other like weapons and other things like that. I think that it was. I think that it's really, really well animated in a way that's like almost cartoonish, like kind of like I want to say like a little bit Ren and Stimpy-ish.
A little bit, yeah. Sort of yeah. I think that's fair. The card battle itself, like the structure of it, it's really sound. Like, they clearly, a lot of thought was put into how these cards are going to interact with each other. It seemed like a fairly limited pool of cards in this game for what they had, and it's worth noting this is a game off of itch.io. I don't know if this is. It says it's a prototype on the page itself, so that's something worth bearing in mind too as you're looking at this. So consider when you're looking at this that it's small and scope because it's partially there, right? But what it is has really good production value. It looks very nice. Like, I was struck by how clean and artistically consistent this was for something that itch.io can be sort of hit or miss with that. And I think there's fun to be had here. Like, it's a very solid experience.
The main thing is that you have to start from somewhere, and right now they have the right bones, they have the right structure, they have the right art design. I think all it needs is more, right? That's what is that? That's like the most damning thing you could ever say about this game is that, like, I want more, please. You know,
it's worth.
And
yeah.
And then, like, the developers are on Twitter, and they said that, like, yeah, they're working on they're continuing their work on this. This is not it will not stay a prototype, from what I understand. So it's a very exciting time for this game, because it just right now we're catching at just like the pretty low or ground level, but it's already just super fun, and one of those demos that I played, and then I just kind of was like, I died, but hold on, I can do better next time. Let me give us another shot. And I went back in, and usually it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play 15 minutes and then get out. In this case, I was like, no, I want to keep going because I want to keep experimenting.
How do we feel about the first person perspective?
I had no qualms with it.
Yeah, it's fine. I like that it just pops up your little hand in front of you, and like you're actually holding the cards instead of splaying them out on a table or something like that.
Sure.
And Alec, you're kind of the roguelike guy. What did you think?
I really enjoyed it. I played through a couple of deaths. I noticed cards getting repetitive, so like you said, the most damning thing was I want more. I look for that variety that comes with I've keep hitting this type of card this run through, so I'm going to build this kind of a deck and lean into that. And it didn't quite have that yet, but it really, like you said, has the good bones.
Yep. The enemies, I like the ramp up of it, because even when I was facing an enemy that was hitting me for 10 to 20 each time, I had just gotten to the point where I started boosting my HP higher and using items that was like, okay, this will boost your HP every time you get it. And all of a sudden, like, my HP was starting to get bigger, and then all of a sudden I had an enemy that started hitting me harder. And I'm like, oh, okay, so the difficulty matched what I was currently going through. So it made sense for me, and I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the progression was very nice.
Yeah. It had a good ramp to it. So I will say that if this were on Steam, this would be a wish list for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I actually just signed up for their newsletter.
Oh, awesome. Maybe I'll do that myself. Actually, I'll probably do that right now as we're about to take our first break. We'll be right back. This is the news with Super GG Radio, now with 42% more 1.0s.
Did you do the math on that?
No, I just chose the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
It's 42. It's 42. That's correct. Good work, Alec.
Thank you.
I mean, the news is real weird. There's not a ton of it. I mean, there is, but not anything that I'm really interested in, unless you guys want to talk about PS5 Pro.
No.
I mean, we can. What is there to say?
It's got a lot more math. It's a size queen. It's got bigger everythings.
Okay.
no discs. The discs are out of here.
Okay.
No stands. You want to stand it up? Get out of here. You put that thing horizontal, like God intended, and you pray that that thing doesn't slide off the entertainment center.
So you have to like a certain type of console.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then what was the other thing? There was another thing.
I saw that you
How
could.
about $700?
Oh my!
Oh, and you get the pisser, which is the AI. Their AI is called the PSSR, or the pisser. And 700 bones. Yeah, no, thank you.
Can you buy the disk drive separately? I saw somewhere that was a thing.
It's like $80.
Jeez.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell what they're trying to lead people along to? Like everybody's gonna turn into Steam at this point.
And the horizontal, if you want to do a vertical stand, that costs money.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Look, you got to pay for that injection molded plastic. And,
You gotta pay to play.
They got to recoup the tooling for all that. It had to cost them a cool thousands of dollars. They got to make all that money back. And it's going to be like 10 people that buy these plastic things. So
We're doing it at a loss.
yeah. We're passing on the savings to you.
Is that a trickle down economics? Is that how it works?
Oh, it trickles down all right.
We're trickling down the savings to you. Also, Annapurna, just the whole thing. Everyone just quit. That's pretty wild. Why? Everyone just quit. They said, okay, I'm done. Really what it came down to was that they had been trying to go a little bit more independent.
Yes,
And-
they wanted to spin off into their own independent studio.
And now they really are.
And I mean, yeah, they don't really have a choice. Everyone just left because they could not come to an agreement.
I was going to say, like, so we're not confusing people. They did not officially break off to form a studio. It was some 27 people who comprised Annapurna Interactive, their game publishing studio, walked out and quit.
Yes.
Because, to your point, they were negotiating a way to split off into a separate subdivision, sub company or spin-off company from it, and it didn't work out. So everybody threw their hands up, and we talked a little bit offline about it, but hopefully they all find a new home, and maybe we see something after this that resembles Annapurna but isn't Annapurna.
What's crazier is the fact that they were just like on the cusp. Mm-hmm. They were working for Control and Alan Wake and Remedy. They were breaking into movies, right? They were breaking into. They were gonna make some like more AAA games. It was like a whole ordeal that they were like, we are going to be huge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like I think maybe that might have been the we're gonna be huge. Like, it's going to come once this deal is finalized, and then the deal just never materialized the way they wanted it to. So they're like, well, you know what?
Just bury it under the weight of the expectations. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's too bad.
They may have started, like, pre-announcing before this deal was done.
What do you feel bad for? They have a slate of developers who are working with them to publish their games, who have no clue what's happening now because everyone's gone. So
they had said that there was a statement saying that they were going to continue to best help the developers that were currently still had their games coming out. They were going to do their best to support whatever they could, but it will obviously be from some other different perspective, like whether they're going to be doing it as like contractors or separate, but it's going to be different.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, this is a big, crazy ordeal right now, and this is like breaking news actually, because it happened like an hour before we started recording the podcast. Which obviously the podcast comes out on Mondays, so it will not be breaking.
I mean, you think about like what would be a bigger collapse here at this point? Like maybe Devolver, like if Devolver fell apart.
Ooh, yeah. I don't know if Annapurna's that.
No, they're not that big. I'm saying like. That would be the next thing, or like I think this is the closest in terms of notoriety, right? Like the
yes, they are. They do fill up that indie space.
Yeah, like Annapurna has a
the
pedigree to them now after having years of sort of art housey kind of games that they've curated and stuff, and they are a name, even if they're not the juggernaut that Devolver is.
Yeah, I think that Devolver's a little bit more in your face. Annapurna tends to lean more towards on the artistic expression side, as opposed to we're gonna just be in your face all the time, which is also a marketing. It's a move, right?
Sex, violence, drugs. Yeah,
I get it.
The unholy trinity. Yeah, I know.
I get it. We have 2 early access titles hitting. Wizard of Legend 2. Alec, we had kind of talked a little bit about Wizard of Legend 2. How is that looking so far?
I'm excited. We've got a couple of weeks before it hits EA, and I'm planning on picking it up.
This is the follow-up to the game we played on Extra Life, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
It's by a new studio that is guided by the old studio, so I'm really hopeful for it. It looks nice, and the gameplay looks very fluid. It's got a different art style, which I'm on the fence on, but doesn't look like they've gone off the rails on gameplay itself. It's still a lot of the same, and it's got co-op.
The other one had co-op, didn't it?
No, 2-player. So Wizard of Legend 2 has 4-player co-op.
Okay, sweet. Now, is there a reason that it's a different company making this, a different developer?
Not that I know of.
Okay. So just someone else maybe have asked for, can we work on that IP?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still going through Humble Games as the publisher.
Even though they are no longer a thing.
Yep.
Okay, so this might be the last one, you think? The last Humble game?
Ooh, maybe. That's...
Yeah. I don't know what else is on the slate.
Yeah, I'm curious if there's anything else still going on for Humble, because they did have They had another game that came out more recently.
Bo Path of the Teal Lotus.
Yep.
Yes, that was the one.
Yeah. I'm not seeing anything else.
Okay.
Never Alone 2. Is that out yet? No. There's another one.
No, that's not out yet. Okay, so that might be another one.
Okay, never mind. I found a section. There's 7 different games still on upcoming for them. So maybe not the last one. Man, they do have a library of games. That's too bad.
Yeah, Humble was doing pretty well. That was the one below, I would say, Annapurna that went on.
Carto was a good one. I knew people who liked Dodgeball Academia.
Damn you, IGN.
Everything's IGN's fault.
Kinda, yeah. The Annapurna thing might be an IGN fault. I get that.
I feel like that's true, but I don't have proof.
The other one, the other early access game, Utopia Must Fall. I had kind of brought this to the team just a little bit off air. This is more of it almost looks like a missile command game that has a little bit more, has expanded into way more particle effects and creature designs, roguelike, with upgrades. It looks pretty cool. Utopia Must Fall. I already purchased it and have installed it so that we could do a beta breakdown on it. So,
I churn out that content.
We got to. Not including the Attack on Titan Unbreakable VR beta breakdown that went out this week. Check it out, youtube.com.
I'm just going to say, I offered to be available. I want that to be on the record that I'm not a part of that, but I did say I'd be willing to participate.
That's okay. It's good. It's a good video. You guys should watch that video.
I will watch that video.
Hell yeah.
I watched most of it.
There we go.
Keep going. I'm going to watch it now.
Steam Family Plan. Steam Family Plan. This is a thing that has kind of been in beta for a long time, but went 1.0. Steam Family Plan goes 1.0. It is the idea that you are going to share a gaming library with your family, but the expanded version of it is also the fact that you will have roles. You will have a parent and child role, And from there, you have really high-level parental controls. They can ask you to purchase a game, send a purchase request, and that'll pop up on your app. So in the Steam app on your phone or also at your PC, you will get a notification asking if I can buy this game or not. Everyone can use their own accounts or use their own information, and you can share trophies, so you can all work on trophies together. There's just a lot of stuff going on with that. You can kind of like have a little bit more on control with your kids and family, cutting them off from certain games, only showing certain games, only allowing them to play games between a certain hours.
Mm-hmm.
So it really does put a lot more of the control in the parent there. You can leave a family. So if you're like, oh, I'm going to make a family with my friends, but you can't just hop around to different families. That's a thing that they're trying to avoid. Just people trying to game collect and whatnot.
There's some restriction, like if you leave a family, you can't join another family for a year.
Yep.
So
there is something there, but at
so
the
you
same
have
time,
to be familyless. That's so sad.
You did it to yourself.
You did it to yourself. Still, this is all very cool. I think this is a fun idea. Joel, how quickly will this be happening at your house?
No, I don't need to. None of them show interest in playing PC games. So it's like, yeah.
What about the Roblox?
You don't need to have Steam to play Roblox.
Is it not on Steam?
I guess I don't believe so. I mean, it has its own separate launcher. I mean, you can play it on.
Okay.
You can play it on Xbox. It treats it like an app there, but PC, you just open a web browser and it starts up for you. So.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm already in that ecosystem. So I meet them where they're at. They don't meet me where I'm at.
Okay. All right, so you won't need this. Maybe a little later.
Later. Maybe. We'll see what happens.
I do find that funny though. Like I do, mine's only 3, and I've definitely here's video games. She asked for them because she saw her cousins playing them, and then I'm like, yeah, we can play whatever you want, and then uninterested. Her cousins were playing it. She was all excited, and then that lasted 30 seconds. And then she's like, "Okay, I'm done."
That's probably for the best.
Yeah, she's like, "I don't want to keep doing this." She pretty much is like, "I got 20 minutes, and then I'm done."
Yeah. Just at that age especially, that's about how long they want to play with about anything. So that makes sense.
Alec, what about you? What about your kids?
They are content with our shared Switch right now, so
Stuff.
Yeah, I'll maybe need it eventually, but they don't care about games.
Okay. They want the Marios.
Yeah.
It'll be really interesting to see how things shake out over the next 10 years. Let's say in terms of where people are playing stuff at.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna change. It's gonna move around, especially considering that we do have the Switch 2 coming, and we have the Xbox slowly fading,
the PS5 Pro.
I wonder how that's gonna adjust, especially because PlayStation has been moving towards playing on PC anyways.
Mm-hmm.
They have. There's a PlayStation publisher sale right now on Steam.
That's wild. That's a weird thing for it to be on there. Yeah,
I saw for Horizon Forbidden West for $40. I was like, that's still too expensive.
Yeah, that's too expensive for me. I do find it funny though, that was one of that's a joke I always make, was that one of the first Xbox Series X unique games that they got. One of the biggest games that they had was a PlayStation game, which was MLB.
Yeah.
It's just open up, and then it's oh, here you go, PlayStation. Got it. It's the big Sony logo. Anyways, we got a slew. Slew's the word I would use. Of 1.0s. Let's start it out. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics. That's a title. It sure is a word salad. Joel, you reviewed this for Nintendo World Report, did you not?
I got 6 added to the beat list thanks to this game collection, and yes, I played through the entire series front to back. I'm nowhere near good enough to take myself seriously online. I still need to do that. But man, if you like these games, you're gonna like this collection. That's pretty much it. And this was like a staple of my childhood growing up, is this series of fighters. So it's like, yeah, it was gonna be a win unless they really botched something. But it's a very competent series. It has all the nice like gallery features and stuff. It has, you know how in the arcade cabinets it would have like the placards or the
they call marquees.
Yes, marquees, right? Marquees, where it showed like all the characters and their special moves and how to execute them and stuff like that. All of that stuff's there, and it's very cool.
That's
and awesome. It has the Punisher.
Of course. That's really what I want. I mean, I go to Galloping Ghost.
That is the Marvel versus Capcom game.
I don't know. I like Children of the Atom. I'm weird. It was like the first video game where we got Gambit, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool, Gambit." Gambit's the coolest.
I bet it was
before everyone else thought.
I bet it was very cool when it came out.
He didn't. He had a super that was kind of broken, like it didn't really work that well, or something like that. There was something going on with Gambit. I heard that there's the one complaint I saw roaming around the internet was the complaint that there's only one memory card slot. So if you're trying to like save your game in the way like, oh, I want to, what is it called, like save states, like an emulation. There's only one slot. So if you're playing a game and you want to save state and then you go to play another game, you cannot save state again.
So I didn't test that out. I used the save state before, but I didn't encounter that as an issue. That said, it's an arcade fighter. Just finish the fight.
Yeah, but that was an interesting one. Someone said, I was like, oh, okay, interesting, okay. The save states, yeah, you got to finish the fight. You have to finish that's what the Mr. Halos, right? That's what the Mr. Halo said.
Yeah, Gordon Ramsay, Master Chef.
Oh, what was his name? Now that's what about me. Oh, I gotta keep going.
Master Chief, like.
Yeah, Steve Downs. Mr. Steve Downs. That's what he said. Finish the fight. There we go. I Am Your Beast goes 1.0. This we played during Steam Next Fest. It's a first-person shooter. It is more of like a neon white where it's like these mini bite-sized levels where they're little shooter puzzles, and with a beautiful like radio play in between that's just so fun, well voiced. It's the head of the developer,
made by the same people who made Click Holding.
Yep.
Oh,
they
really?
Did a lot of games. They also did. They've made 3 games this year and have had 10 under their belt in the last like 4 years. They release games.
El Paso Elsewhere was their big one from last year, which was sort of a mock-up of Max Payne.
Oh, Alec bought it for me for
Max Payne
for a White Elephant.
Yeah, which was a really solid experience. Like it did a good job of capturing the gist of what you'd look for in that kind of game.
And these guys, they are called Strange Scaffolding. They have a lot of. If you ever look at their games, they actually have a lot of games. Life Eater was also well regarded. Purgatory Dungeoneer. Joel, you played Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator.
I did. That was them.
Yep.
Did they publish it? Because I thought that was developed by just like one guy.
Their team is very small.
Okay.
And when somebody has one idea, they kind of all run with it.
Got it. Okay. That was an experience. I still have that installed on my PC somewhere. It's just so weird.
They have their first game, an airport for aliens, currently run by dogs.
Yep.
What a name! I love it.
So they do a really good job of what the games they make. They really they kind of come up with one idea and then just run with it. So it's a very cool development team, and I'm very happy to keep paying for what they got.
Yep.
Continuing on here, we have. Oh, I lost my doc.
What the car?
What the car goes 1.0. Which is a very cool, like what the bat and what was their what
What
the golf?
the
golf.
Yep.
Yeah, when I believe What the Car was a Apple Arcade game that has now been brought to all mainstream platforms.
Yes, and it's a very good game. If you liked What the Golf, you should like this.
You played What the Car?
Yes, I did. I didn't finish. It was good. It's kind of like What the Golf. It's wacky. Has a lot of jokes and physical humor. Lots of funny play on words, and it is something easy to pick up and put back down. Great for when you're sitting on the sidelines of a sport event that is all walks and nobody hitting a ball.
Joel, your kids listen to the show.
I hope not. Otherwise, they're in trouble.
And then Satisfactory, which has been in early access for a very long time, is now in 1.0. Satisfactory is a first-person, I want to say like a survival game that we've played before. We played a lot of survival games, but this is more on a heavy focus on manufacturing. So getting deeper into the game means that you will be creating long-standing factories with conveyor belts that will go into second factory, which will turn items into third items, and then moving to another conveyor belt to another thing. You end up making these massive industry of just building. That's why it's called Satisfactory. Joel, you want to get into some time wasting? We could play Satisfactory.
I am already taking a look at this right now. Like, dude, you hit like all the business words. And
okay.
Like my ears my ears are perked up now.
Okay. If you get Satisfactory, let me know. I will play with you. We can start our own little factory together. It'll be great.
Okay. All right.
Caravan Sandwich, which as in WITCH.
Yes.
That went 1.0. That is a narrative-driven exploration adventure game. You are in a town. You're driving around in your little van, and the town people will ask you for help or advice or whatnot, and you will explore the vast wilderness, little mesas and deserts and wilderness, just trying to help the people of town, finding items, helping with whatever quest that they give you, and it's very narrative-driven. It's cel-shaded. Super cute, super fun, super relaxing. It looks more of a cozy game because the exploration there's not like a lot of death. There's no killing. There's none of that. It's just enjoying the world.
So I actually have a copy of this. I've been playing it on Switch as part of a deal to record footage for NWR. So I've gotten a few hours into this. Don't play it on Switch. It's very muddy and very hitchy. Frame weight wise. That said, it hasn't stopped me from playing it because it is a very nice open world exploration, non-confrontational. I am climbing things and hitting switches and opening up next parts of the map, and they do the whole Breath of the Wild thing where you find a transponder and you interact with it and then it opens up that portion of the map kind of thing. That's one of the big things you're doing. And you are a person who lives in space, who is going back down to Earth, back to her hometown, I think, is the sort of conceit of what's happening. Lovely game. Like, I'm going to beat it despite the performance problems on Switch. So I can recommend it. Sure.
Okay. Undefeated Genesis. This is a 1.0. Undefeated is a game that we played long ago. I want to say when we started the show. It was a Superman game that was actually fun.
Oh,
They
yeah.
found a way to make Superman fun. These guys have finally reached their vision with this game, and it actually is coming to PlayStation 5. They found a way to make Superman being, like, as he is so omnipresent and invincible, they have found a way to make an actual valid threat by the having meters that will show how much the people are getting hurt or how much damage to the city there is, and you're trying to stop it with the amount of they try to minimize the damage. Then also they give you cool and interesting powers and stuff like that. So they're really going for it. Undefeated Genesis. Actually, it looks like it's not 1.0, at least on Steam. They were talking about it going 1.0 on PlayStation. So
yeah, on Steam it says 2026.
Right.
Jeez.
Although, for what it's worth, the screenshots definitely look improved from the little slice of demo we played. It was just like a cityscape, right, in the demo?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so... Yeah.
Yeah, so it says a 1.0 launch on a PlayStation 5 launch.
Okay.
Weird. Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
that makes
Genesis.
sense.
Genesis is the sequel.
Yes.
Okay, so the original is Undefeated. Okay, and it is the city game. So they have increased and updated the one that we played, and now it is becoming. They're gonna add more worlds and space and stuff like that around it. So
Got it.
That's so Undefeated is 1.0. Next, Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2. Me and Getty talked about this when it came out, but this was definitely a very fun Gears of War like, but a little less heavy. Still a lot of fun, and I think that I think there's a lot of good times to be had, especially if you're hanging out with your friends. You're just hanging out, talking, joking around, talking about, oh man, how's work? Work's been pretty crazy lately, while you're just shooting some space aliens.
Tyranids and heretics.
Thank you, Alex.
Is Attack on Titan giant naked people walking around?
Yes.
You were not aware of Attack on Titan?
I've seen images, but I didn't know it was like... It is disturbing.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Are you watching the beta breakdown while we're podcasting?
I am. And you know what? I'll give you that. It looks like... I like the movement. Like the sort of zipping around on screen's neat.
It's the... Joel, we're going to talk about this.
Okay.
We're going to talk about this a little later.
Okay.
I promise. Actually, I think we did already. We talked about how it's it's the world of Spider-Man realized.
Okay. Fair enough.
And it feels good. And that's everything you would want out of VR Spider-Man. Continuing on. So we have a rumor mill. Let's run to the rumor mill. Cue the music. Nailed it.
Well, yeah. We'll see in the final edit whether it makes its way there.
Yeah. First rumor: Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner. That has been a series that we haven't been able to access in a long time, but now the first two games, I think there are only two, Devil Summoner 1 and 2, the Raidu Kuzunawa HD collection leaked by Steam DB update. So there is Steam achievements for this game.
Those were were they 3DS games?
There was a 3DS, Devil Summoner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember a PS2 game.
Got it. Yeah, I just 3DS is getting into like a weirdly expensive spot.
PlayStation 2.
It took me by surprise. Like you can't buy replacements very cheaply anymore.
They were PlayStation 2 games.
Those two were?
These two ones that would be in the collection.
Which one was 3DS then?
The Soul Hackers.
Soul
Okay.
Hackers.
All right.
Which is another offshoot of the Shin Megami Tensei games. Next. FromSoft may be ramping up recruitment for another Armored Core game. This come by way of LinkedIn, as they are looking for new developers with experience in mecha.
Nice.
And they'd kind of already said that they were taking a break after Elden Ring, that any game that they do after that, or any kind of Souls-like game that they make after that, will not be as big or bigger. It will at least be within the same vein, but they said that they've already kind of done as big as they want to get.
That's probably good. I know a few people who had kind of turned on Elden Ring a little bit since they played it. So
Really?
yeah, I think the scale is part of it. Like the explanation I was given is that because things are so open, makes it to where you can run a lot of times from certain dangers, where the other games, it's more tightly confined. You're in a pre-designed room meant to account for that thing, and you have nowhere to run, kind of thing.
Yeah. I get that. But I think that I liked the scope. I think that every place I went was interesting, and I was always surprised around every corner.
Yeah, you had Torrent.
There wasn't,
you know.
Yep, Torrent the horse. The movement on that, they really made him a cheat code when they gave him, like, they just automatically, oh, by the way, your ghost horse you can call at any time can also double jump.
Yeah.
Ooh, double jumping ghost horse.
And that's step one.
It felt good traveling that world. It really did.
Yeah. Okay, and those are the rumor mills. Now it's time to go over to freebies.
Freebies! You heard the sound.
Yep, it was there. First freebie, Infected Shelter over on Steam. I just pull up the game, and it's a lot of gore happening. Infected Shelter is an ultra-violent, it's in the description, roguelite post-apocalyptic beat-em-up, single-player and co-op for up to 4 players, where you are using things like flamethrowers, chainsaws, and all sorts of items and guns and weaponry just to defeat the infected and collect all sorts of old war relics and fight lots of different bosses. This game is looking wild. Because the animation is real choppy on purpose to be like comedic. So
yeah, it kind of reminds me of like old Newground videos or something like that, where they would have characters that had sort of floppy paper-like movement. Yeah.
Yes, Newgrounds. I couldn't place it, but that's exactly what it is.
That's the vibes I'm getting here.
And that's absolutely what this is, and it looks fun still. So Infected Shelter on Steam. Next game, Elect Dude. Collect all energy in each level and face Dr. Dark Glass. This is a puzzle game, and it's very pixel, moving around these different squares to collect all the electrical icons on screen while avoiding enemies and solving the puzzles in the level. Elect Dude.
It is Steam Deck verified.
I would hope so. This looks like a Game Boy game. And not to disparage it. Not to disparage it. It just looks like it doesn't need a whole lot of power. It's interesting, though. I'm looking at some of these puzzles, and I'm like, I don't know how I'd figure that one out. Oh, okay. It's enticing me. I gotta get out of here. Next, The New Sheriff on Steam. A shooter where you won't have to shoot everything. Interesting. Presented in black and white like classic westerns. Also interesting. Find and eliminate the bandits. It's like
This looks like an Atari game.
It does look like an Atari game, and I'm trying to like piece where it's saying like you won't have to shoot everything, and I'm like, is that a selling point?
I redeem this one. I like the way this one looks.
Okay. So you have people that you're supposed to find. Like you get little pictures, and when you walk up to them, you see the picture of their face, so you can identify them with their wanted poster if you would like. That makes sense. New Sheriff. Next, freebie, Bureau of Contacts Mansion. Explore an old mansion full of paranormal dangers alone. Why would you do that? Find clues, identify ghosts, collect their dossiers, and exorcise them. Okay, so you definitely get to find different monsters and ghosts and beings, and then you're given tools to try to exorcise them, and given a notebook that explains what monsters you're seeing. Okay, I get it. I'm into it. See what else got going on here. So Bureau of Contacts is a ghost hunting game for 1 to 4 players in which you encounter 2 enemies at once. And the mansion is a level for it. So you can play the mansion level for free. Pretty cool. Next, Super Crazy Rhythm Castle. It's a super crazy rhythm castle, the chaotic rhythm adventure, a puzzling co-op mashup unlike anything you've ever heard. Work together to think outside the box while keeping your combo. Solo or with a band of up to 3 friends, can you conquer the castle? This game looks pretty cool. It's 3D kind of tilt shift angle where your characters are walking around. You end up in rhythm games that look a little like Guitar Hero. That looks pretty fun and silly. and I think this looks really fun. And you end up doing platforming challenges, little object find them, crazy puzzles. I'm into it. Super crazy rhythm castle. Next, Rugrats Adventures in Gameland. This is a brand new day one Rugrats game on Epic Game Store. Both these are on Epic Game Store. And this one, really, they kind of put it towards having an NES-style gameplay. The art looks just like the show, but it is NES-styled. You could switch between NES graphics or like cartoony graphics, but it plays the same. And it is said that this could possibly run on NES hardware. So, Rugrats Adventure in Gameland.
Somebody has to actually try that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it, Joel. This is up your wheelhouse, isn't it?
No.
You like classic platformers. Didn't you beat all of The Lion King?
That is technically something that happened. Yes. No.
You're gonna get through this. It'll be fine. It's your favorite genre.
Nicktoons.
We'll be right back. And we're back with the Backlog Blog, where we play games that have been on stream. We've been playing games on stream.
A little bit.
Twitch.tv/SuperGGRadio. What's wrong with that, Joel? What was that?
The podcasts are secret, but the Twitch streams aren't.
No. Come hang out with us in our Twitch streams. I will tell you that Joel had a good time playing along with hanging out with some aliens and being the bad guy. Joel, how was Mass Effect 1?
I've probably attempted to play this game a minimum of 5 times throughout the years. And, I got back in my day when there were Steam sales where Mass Effect would be like $3. $3 for the game. I know I bought it at some point back then. But then I got to a period where I didn't have access to a PC reliably. I then find out that on sale is the trilogy on PlayStation 3 for, I think, like $15. Sure, why not? I'll get to it. I start, and it is just a nightmare with loading screen problems and, being stuck in that elevator for just unacceptably long. So
that was always a running joke with Getty and Steve and I, was that like the game is just a bunch of elevators.
It's not wrong. I mean, you are, anytime that you are not in active battle, and sometimes when you are, you're going through like outposts and science facilities and like the swampland of certain spaces, and you inevitably find an elevator somewhere, and it gives you that nice little 30 seconds of either like music playing in the elevator or a little bit of dialogue between you and the other characters. This game has a character to it, and it is very of its time. Sort of the third person movement that's kind of not maybe as smooth or fluid as you'd like it to feel, a little bit stiff. The battle system is very menu focused, and so pausing right to aim at things, and then selecting on the radial dial the right move to toss at somebody. It's just it felt good going back to that era of gaming a little bit. And BioWare had a type.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the truth is, I haven't played much BioWare. I much liked this game. I think Knights of the Old Republic was the other one they made. I also own that, probably just one place for that one. But still, it's I started it. Cool, this is neat. Move on, right? So having this kind of commitment and structure that we put in place has helped me focus a little bit on something that in my head became like a monumental task, but in actually playing it, like, not that heavy of RPG elements really in the scheme of things. They have the abilities that you level up. They've got gear. It's
This is what we call a Western RPG.
okay, and that would be okay. So like the story in this is not much of a story. The story is your relationships with these characters, and the thing is, everybody thought I was a stern ass throughout the entire time.
That's the point of the show.
And it goes back to what we talked a little bit about prior games about, like, okay, what's the really bad thing to say or do here, and it is nice how definitive it is of like, okay, I really want to just twist the knife on this point. You're not going to save your race because we need to get what's his name? What is his name?
It's like, get over yourself. We're gonna just you guys can't procreate.
Yeah, but
it's brutal. So mean, Joel. It was so mean that you did that. And the arachnid queen, like, did you need to kill them all? You wiped out an entire race.
I did. And I'm lost for words. Like, it's such a weird way to approach it. It's contrary to how I play these games usually. And so it recontextualized what I assume would be like a very heroic story where you're saving the day and doing the right, good deed stuff. But I enjoyed
doing the right thing.
Yeah, I know.
Right thing.
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. It was plenty actiony. It didn't get too complicated for the story.
I like how you were surprised it ended. You're like, wait, that's it? There's not going to be more? I was like, yeah, kind of.
That felt like a mid-movie stop, right? It felt.
It was a time and place where they had to like keep you guessing, right? That's the end of Mario, the first Mario movie, where they're like, we got to go save the princess, and then like credits.
Yeah, I suppose so. But I guess I've just gotten used to some games at least having a definitive ending to that story. And that didn't feel like a story end. That felt like there's something more here that needs to conclude. Like it needs to have like a one more act. But that said, I'm also okay with the length of it. It
yeah, it wasn't too long. They get longer from here.
It wasn't too long. I could overlook some of the annoyances I had with the game, but I think that it was good that we did this in the structure of a stream because I probably wouldn't have otherwise. I know
which is sad. They're really good games.
Yeah, it's more a nitpicky thing with me. But that said, glad I played it.
And did you have a favorite character that you hung out with?
Rex.
Okay. Most people, it's Garrus.
Garrus is good too.
Yeah. Not what is his name? Seth Green?
No.
Okay, no Seth Green.
No.
Got it.
He
kept pulling me out of the game.
I was gonna say
like, hey guys, what's going on? I'm Seth
I
Green.
regret that he's in this game, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. It pulls you out
exactly.
of it. Really.
Yeah, he has a very distinct voice, and it'd be like if Tom Hanks just started talking somewhere.
Didn't even try to mask it really. So it was funny. I like the Mass Effect. I think that they do a lot of good stuff. I think there's a lot of callbacks as you continue on. There's some funny references. Did you do the Did you do the commercial?
No.
I can't remember. I think at some points you become a celebrity, and then you like endorse you get to pick and then they do a little commercial with your character.
Oh, okay. In this game,
throughout the rest of the
first
game.
one.
I can't remember if it's this one or a later one.
Okay, I don't recall a commercial option or opportunity.
Okay. But you gotta talk to everybody.
Yeah, I think that's the lesson we learned here, is that playing through the next of it, I need to engage in these conversations and take a risk at actually accidentally saying a nice thing.
I mean, we got to get as far as we can go, right?
Yeah, we want to get the whole experience with this stuff, and I understand that I've missed out on a critical portion of it. So
mostly all the sexy times.
Yeah,
you missed the sexy.
Yeah, well, I remember, Fox News was very upset about that one. I've got very distinct memories of that. Yeah,
should show you all the we could find a supercut of all the sexy scenes. I'll send it to you later.
I'm okay.
I'll send it to you later. All right, so Mass Effect. You're going to continue through the rest of the series?
I think I have to. I need to finish the fight.
And at this point, you're psyched enough to be Shep.
I want to see where things go, and understanding now really how important it is to take a risk and talk to people. Sure.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but don't all your decisions and consequences carry over from game to game?
All of them.
Okay, just most of them.
I mean, it's just more like that. There's not a ton like that carry over to where they reference later. It's like it's much less than you ever want.
Oh, okay.
Like I always wanted it to be like a big ordeal, and by the end of the day, it ended up being like, oh, kind of, not really. It's like, oh, okay. We will all you'll understand that as you get further in, Joel.
Okay.
You want it to be more.
All right.
No. That's okay. We also played a game on stream together at the Itty Bitty Indie Committee, where we played Thank Goodness You're Here.
Thank goodness you're here.
Yeah. This is a very British game.
I had my phone open, Alec, and every time we saw something that looked remotely like a British dialect statement, I was searching very quickly what that meant, and most of them were penis jokes. So
excellent.
Yeah.
But it was very funny because it was like, Joel, Google that. And he's like, oh, I'm doing it. And then like, Joel, Google this. He's like, oh, hold on. I'm still Googling the other thing. It was a very educational stream, I would say.
Yes.
I felt like I learned quite a bit of different lingos for the penis.
I learned that you can slap just about anything and you'll get all sorts of different reactions.
Yeah, you slapping a lot of butts.
Yeah.
It was very funny.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was overall very funny. I liked it. The idea being your character is waiting for a meeting with the mayor, and because you're waiting for a meeting with the mayor, you decide to kill some time by going into town, and every single person you walk up to in town is like, oh, thank goodness you're here. I need your help. And then you help them in whatever way they need, and then you run into somebody else who just says the same exact thing. It's like, oh, God, thank God you're here. We need your help. Do the thing.
But the game is also like the structure is in a loop. So
didn't we play a beta of this?
Yes, we did.
We
okay.
Yeah. But it's built out of like what, 4 different main areas, I think.
4 or 5 maps. Yeah.
But the story will drag you along, and it'll have you moving section to section forward along the loop as you go through. Which you would think would get really redundant and annoying, but it's not, because they recontextualize it each time you come back around. So like in one case, there were these two kids next to a well, and like one time they were just sort of chatting and playing around the well, and then you loop around, and the next time you come around, it's one kid laid sprawled out and the other one like smacking his belly with something.
Oh,
you know. So like it's fresh enough each time you go through the loop that it doesn't feel redundant or annoying to go around in.
In fact, I found it actively, like, there was excitement at a certain point. You go up to two different doors and you knock on the doors, and they just say, "We're busy." These two separate people, and then the next time you loop around, they're arguing about their trash can. It's like, "Don't put your trash in my trash bin." And the guy's like, "I'm not." And then you loop back around, and then he's like, "Don't put your trash in my trash bin." She's like, "I'm not." But by the end of it, he like picks her up and puts her in the trash. She's like, "Don't put me in your trash bin." And then by the end of it, they're both in the trash bin, and he's like, "Why did you put us both in the trash bin?" And I was like, "That's a pretty." It kept going with different bits and bobs of what they were talking about and how they were arguing about the trash bin, to the end where they're just like in the trash bin together. And I'm like, that's a pretty funny wrap around in total about what they were doing. And it just, every time I looped around, there was something new to see. The map had changed ever so slightly, so I thought that was pretty good. I didn't think that it was boring. I never really got too tired about it. I did feel like it did feel a little long in the tooth by the end, just because I was helping all the people. We were doing all the, like, okay, this guy needs help with this, let's go do that. And then this guy also needs help with something else, let's go help them. And then it just kept going and going. But then they cap it off by I'm not to spoil it, but it really does come down to that this character is overwhelmed with how much people are asking for help.
And it plays out in like a musical number too. That's the best part about it. So you're going to do all these longer missions, and suddenly it's almost like you're playing little segments of WarioWare. Nothing
nice.
that manic, but it's these like 5 to 10 second mini game stuff you're having to do that shows you helping all these characters again on all these little things. But it portrays perfectly the, like, you're being asked to do everything by everyone.
So it's the ending of Clue.
I've never seen that.
Maybe.
Oh, you gotta see it.
I'm trying to remember.
At the very end of Clue, Tim Curry reenacts everything that happened in Clue to all the other people who were there.
Yeah. Okay. Little bit, but less so. It's just more the idea overall that it does like flashes, like a flash forward of like all the things you've done, but like fast forward.
Okay.
And it's going through all of the things you did, and you're like, oh man, this is a lot. And then by the end, your character's like, no, this is too much. And I was like, it started to feel like too much. And I think that was what kind of the fun of it was, that you realize that by the end, your character was like just overwhelmed and exhausted by the sheer amount that he was being asked to do. And it's like the idea you have to put up a little bit of a boundary, because it's like at a certain point, you're just someone's workhorse.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I thought it was a blast. It's really, really like sexually graphic. Like the jokes in there are really some things that me and Joel were all of a sudden like felt kind of uncomfortable with, and also just out there. Like we had to stop and go, that was a sex joke, right? And he goes, I think that was a sex joke. Like, quick Google it. Let's see if that was a sex joke.
Yeah.
So it was out there.
Yeah.
Overall, I thought it was fun. It was a breezy 2.5 hour game, right?
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, it's something we're playing through on our end, just so Kelly can get the full experience too. Just to reiterate, very adult game. Do not play this around kids.
Yeah. I thought it might be something fun, and I was like, oh no, that's not the kind of fun. And so there's it's a lot of innuendo. Matthew Berry kills it as the gardener. He is hilarious. I think that even those kind of jokes, there's a scene where Matthew Berry is trying to open up a bag of manure, and it just looked like he's humping it. And then then they pan to an elderly couple from inside their house, and the husband's watching it, and then the wife's like, "Let's close the shade," and the husband goes, "No, let's not."
Oh,
It's like, oh no. Yeah, so it was like, oh, okay, come on, you calm down, calm down. The game is really horny in a way. I was like, okay, let's all chill out. But yeah, so thank goodness you're here is really good. I think that Joel, are we going to continue playing the Itty Bitty Indie Committee?
Yes, although we'll need to figure out scheduling for that.
Okay. But we do have already, I think, the next 2 lined up. I think they're going to be played back to back.
Yes. Yep, we got a plan for the next one.
Okay, sweet. So that was Thank Goodness You're Here. And that'll take us to our one last thing. One last thing where we give one last sentence, one last statement, sending us into the weekend and you, the listener, into the weekday. For me, I beat Crime Scene Cleaner. I'll probably talk about it next week, but I will say that going back to Power Wash Simulator after Crime Scene Cleaner, it just doesn't scratch the same itch. And that makes me sad. So I don't know what to do next. I might just, 100% the Power Wash and be done with it and move on to the next thing. I do have Barkeeper, what do we have? Tavern Manager.
Tavern, a
nice.
sim? Like a management sim?
Yes, but it's, again, very much like a crime scene cleaner where you're just, going to the bar, cleaning up, mopping, all that stuff. And maybe that'll hit me in the way that I'm, really into. But that's something I'm thinking about right now. Joel?
So I've been embroiled in kid sports, and I've gotten tired of dragging around a Switch or a Steam Deck. So I've been bringing just my phone and the Backbone controller thing, and so I'm playing Braid.
Cool.
They have the anniversary edition on Netflix. So if you're subscribed, you got access to games there. And the anniversary edition, do you have to collect any of the puzzle pieces to finish the game?
I have to check. I think you do have to collect some of them. I was like, oh, I like collecting puzzle pieces. This seems super fun. And then I read what you have to do to collect all the puzzle pieces, and I literally put the game down.
Yeah.
It was one of those ones where it's like, if I can't 100% it, I don't feel like I'm having fun anymore.
No, and there are ones where I feel like there's some hidden piece that is being withheld from me. And the fact that there's not is just frustrating. But
Can I ruin the one that ruined it for me?
Sure.
There's one level where you're supposed to notice the clouds are moving, and you have to wait for the clouds to move to get to to get the puzzle piece that you want, and that is 35 minutes.
Wow.
So he wants you to sit on that level for 35 minutes, and I was like, no. No. This game is not good enough for me to want to do that.
No. I'll say it looks nice. I mean, they did clean up some of the backdrops, and they got a easy click. It'll automatically switch different styles, original or the new one.
Are you listening to the commentary by Jonathan Blow about how brilliant
No, you can. It's pretentious enough without having to listen to him talk about it. It's okay.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
But yeah, it's a good game. I understand why it has this turned to a big segment. I'm sorry. Let's move on. I was going for
the same artist did the artwork for Arranger.
Yeah. Good.
Yep. So if you want the same artwork, Alec, your one last thing.
I don't know how, but I got sucked back into Arena again, Magic the Gathering Arena. I have managed to, in the last week, put in 4 hours somehow, just doing daily quests of cast so many black and white spells, cast so many green and red. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Alec, I don't judge you. I got sucked back into League of Legends.
Ooh.
We'll talk about that another week. And that will be it for this week's Super GG Radio. Before we go, you can find us on Twitter at Super GG Radio and twitch.tv/Super GG Radio, where Thursdays are podcast night. Wednesdays, Joel and I will be doing the Itty Bitty Indie Committee, or I will be doing Drunk Souls, where I'll be playing Demon Souls and drinking every time I die. Tuesdays, Joel is being the bad guy with Mass Effect 2.
2.
We also have a...
2.
2? Yep, there you go. We also have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/@SuperGGRadio, where you can find our latest of beta breakdowns. We just did the beta breakdown of Attack on Titan VR. I will tell you right now, that was a cursed beta. Turns out there's not a good way to get footage live streamed off of your Oculus. Not a good way. Doesn't stream directly. You have to go through a browser, and it looks choppy as hell. If you want to play a Steam game, sure. A Steam game on your VR headset, sure. Not directly from the Oculus store. I had to record the footage, and then me and Getty talked over it. I will also tell you that recording the footage, my MetaQuest would crash over. It crashed over 3 to 4 times.
Ooh, ouch.
So it was a whole thing. But we got the beta breakdown. Check it out on our YouTube channel. If you'd like to reach us with questions or input, our email address is mail@superggradio.com, and provide a review on iTunes or the podcast app of your choice. Also, check out our Patreon, where you can get monthly pictures of our pups, get your name read off as an executive producer, free copies of early adopter games, and even get a chance to play games with us. Check out our Patreon. Let's hang out. It also goes to charity. It's never a bad thing to give to charity. Usually the Children's Miracle Network, all of our Extra Life. Extra Life's coming up in November. Make sure you get a chance to get on that Patreon. Thanks for listening, everybody. GG Joel. GG Alec.
Good game.
Good night, everybody.